Well, I've been trying to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with this, and I think I finally decided. And it's going to be a little bit different than we did in class, which I know you guys love. But it's going to be study in two color graded washes, and I'm going to sort of just talk about it doing a few different ways. And I know in the class I had started off this one, which was sort of harried and is still salvageable, but I'm going to step back and do what I'm going to do here, and you guys will figure out how to make it work. I have faith. But this first one, so there's different ways of doing it that I have talked about, and one way is to start with just clear water. Sort of, well, I know just so you know, I'm going to make this top one. I'm going to use some Hansa Yellow Light and some greens to sort of emulate the Avocado study. And so I'm going to go from a very light lemony yellow to a really dark, intense green, and I have a lot of things in between. So like I build up in other aspects, I'm going to do the same here. This is 140 pound again, so it's a little bit of a learning curve in that it's not going to stay wet as long as the 300 pound. It doesn't hold as much water just overall. Maybe that's going to be a good thing though, I don't know. But anyways, this is where when I do water first and then sort of just start dabbing in a little bit of color. This is a way of having a decent amount of control over the blend, because everything is really watery, and I can just kind of move things around. That's probably kind of really hard to see, and that it's yellow paint on white paper. Not a whole lot of contrast. Interesting. And I'm saying that because it does behave differently than the 300 pound, but that's okay. So I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to just paint that with water. And then bring in a little bit of the lemony yellow at the bottom here, and then just kind of tilt-a-whirl. That was the term we came up with. Kind of tipping it and spinning it around, and so it takes some experience in doing this to know that really watery clear paper, white paper, to really watery yellow is going to end up as vibrant and intense as I know it's going to be, but it's going to be these layers. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that paint sitting there. So once again, just wet it down and then dab in a little paint. Get rid of that hair. Just to show you, I mean, the colors that this is on 300-pound paper, but and it's got. Anyways, these yellows and greens are quite doable. Well, at least on 300-pound, and I'm pretty sure on this paper we'll get pretty darn close. But this started out as that. Is my point. So let's see. The second one, I'm going to play with colors for the pit, which is, I'm going to use Azo Yellow and Quinacridone Burnt Orange for that. And instead of just starting with water, you're not Azo Yellow at all. Hold on, you are. And this is okay if there's a little Hansa Yellow light. I'm going to start off, I'm going to go from Azo Yellow to Quinacridone Burnt Orange. And I'm still thinking in several layers, but I am going to pre-mix some of my colors. And as I'm going, I'm going to start mixing these two together. I'm going to, instead of wasting that paint in the water bucket, I'm going to squeeze it out there. I am going to do want to get the paint out because I'm going to start with just yellow. So I got some pre-mixed colors here, and they're fairly similar. I don't want them too different as far as concentration. But I'm just going to start painting like I'm doing a regular old flat wash of Azo Yellow. And as I start moving down the page, I'm going to grab a little bit of color from here and mix it into my puddle. Keep doing that more and more and more. So that will look something like this. And I'm not pre-wetting, so it's a little bit more being comfortable with mixing on the fly. I can tell that's not pure Azo Yellow, but that's okay. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that. And then a little bit more. So that kind of came over faster than I wanted to. And then maybe even a little bit more. The thing about this now is I have the burnt orange in my brush, so if I'm doing just a one color flat wash, you know, I'll drop in some color up there. But if I did that now, I would definitely introduce a bunch of Quin burnt orange up there, which is not what I want. So let's see, I'm going to try that again. Sort of need a bigger mixing area, but I would probably be doing this over in the bigger mixing area. But let's try that again. So And I'm still sort of thinking beaded wash. And I have plenty of color adding up right along there. Start mixing in some of that second color. Keep doing my bead. Mix in a little bit more. See? That's okay. That's actually kind of fun. I'm getting low on Quin Burnt Orange. And indeed, you can certainly grab a little bit more as long as there's plenty of watery color. It's a little bit hard to get it even that way, which is another reason why I usually end up doing multiple passes. That would have been a pretty even wash if I hadn't got greedy there at the end and tried to pull in too much of the darker Quin Burnt Orange. But moving it around like that evens it out quite a bit. I am gonna mix this yellow in the larger one, which, oh yeah, you're still on camera, hooray. Doing it this way, you have to be a little bit more careful about your edges, because like I say, just sort of coming back in and plopping in more color can be confusing if you're not sort of really remembering what you have in your brush. So this is still a pretty gradual build. It's not shifting color extremely fast, but that's by design. Excuse me. It's you, Mr. Microphone Wire. Good thing there was plenty of watery color in that shape.